Being a live human is expensive. That's a fact of life.
How can you make yourself as inexpensive, not necessarily cheap, but inexpensive, as possible?
Debt for Dummies with Paul Solman.
And Elizabeth Warren.
Start with a budget, and on this budget you're going to do things like record what you spend, what you have, basic expenses versus extra expenses.
In other words, needs and wants.
Then add up what you spend and subtract that from your income.
But if months later you find, oh snap, the collectors won't stop calling me, but I got nothing to give.
Surprise! You're in that evil land of...
debt! So is the U.S. government, so make sure you stop by and say hi.
You can also make like the U.S. government by borrowing money to pay off debt.
Will that make more debt?
Sometimes, that depends. If what you have to pay on any new debt is greater than what you have to pay on the old debt, then yes, you'll probably have a problem.
Always make more than the minimum monthly payment, and or pay every 2 weeks instead of monthly. Means you'll pay less interest later on.
It's the same thing with debt on a mortgage or car. Pay additional principal every month and specify that it goes to principal.
Interest rate on any debt is based on the amount that you owe.
Do the math. If you owe less, your interest payment is also less, as it is now the same percent of a smaller amount.
Also, always read the fine print on any offer you get.
Beware credit card offers that are introductory 0% interest on balance transfers and low interest on new purchases.
And then, surprise, they find ways to increase charges on all sides.
Just transfer balance from old card to new card over and over, and you'd keep low interest rates forever?
But now you have 6 months to pay off the balance transfer at that low percent.
And you didn't remember to close the old account, and you have a late payment on the new card. Suddenly, the interest on the old card jacks up to higher than the original percent.
Now your credit rating takes a hit, and uh-oh, you're in deep trouble.
When closing a credit card, you'd have to write a letter to the company specifically to take it off your credit rating. Closing the card, paying off all its debts, is good for you.
Don't be late in paying utilities either. That too is important to keeping your credit score.
A payment a day keeps creditors away?
The reward is you'll be able to obtain credit when you really, really need it.
And if your budget fails so hard it doesn't even know what to do with itself, file for bankruptcy.
Bankruptcy. You didn't follow any of the aforementioned advice.
Bankruptcy solves all your debt problems except screwing with your credit rating, which
makes you look completely irresponsible, which
squanders your chances of ever getting a job, or
taking out an insurance or a loan, or
getting student loans, or
buying a car or a home.
There are 2 kinds of personal bankruptcy.
Those who are truly struggling can file for Chapter 7. Most of your debts will be eliminated, and creditors can't harass you for the money.
The IRS will liquidate almost all of your property unless it is exempt.
Or if you have too much non-exempt property that you want to keep. Or if the difference between your income and your basic expenses is too high, file Chapter 13.
In Chapter 13, you'll be able to make a plan for repaying your debts from anywhere from 3 to 5 years depending on your income. None of the property goes, and you pay back what you can afford. You make one monthly payment to a trustee, which distributes all of that payment among the creditors.
But remember that it'll stick on your credit rating for 10 years, and that'll hurt your chances of ever getting a job, taking out an insurance or a loan, getting student loans, buying a car or a home.
Almost all people have an automobile, and so a crucial part of anyone's budget is how to manage the acquiring and payment of a car. Here are some ways cars can be financed.
A personal loan is enacted similarly to most loans. One borrows money to use to purchase a car and then pays in monthly increments.
This allows a buyer to own their car immediately. It can be difficult to obtain, and it may need to be secured to your home. A hire purchase is a traditional method. A buyer pays a deposit and then pays monthly payments.
This is easier to obtain and possibly cheaper than a loan, but you do not legally own the car until the last payment is made. Therefore, you cannot sell the car without the seller's permission.
Buying a car on a contract purchase involves paying a deposit of up to 20% and then paying low monthly payments, normally up to 3 years, with a final lump sum.
At the start of the agreement, a guaranteed end value is given by the finance company, the GMFV or Guaranteed Minimum Future Value. GMFV is determined by expected mileage, and if the actual mileage does not match it at the end of the term, the cost will be adjusted accordingly.
After the low monthly payments have ended, you can either pay the GMFV as a final payment and keep the car, return the car and pay nothing more, although nothing is refunded, or part exchange the car. If the car is valued at above the GMFV price, then the additional figure is put towards your deposit on the new car. If the car is valued at below the GMFV, you will not have to pay the difference because the amount was guaranteed at the start of the agreement.
These monthly payments are less than the other methods of purchase, but you do not legally own the car until the GMFV payment, and get no car if it is not paid despite the monthly payments already made.
They are ideal if you want to change car every few years, but they require careful planning.
On a personal contract hire, one pays monthly payments over a set period of time, after which the car is returned. Maintenance fees may be included in the hire cost. These payments are less than if you actually bought the car, and although you never own it, it is a cheap option with less risk.
Business contract hires work almost identically, but they are designed for businesses because of reduced tax charges. VAT, or value-added tax registered businesses, can save a lot of money using this method. Identity theft is all too common nowadays. You hear about it all the time, but it doesn't have to be something inevitable. Here are some things you can do to decrease your chances of identity theft. First, don't keep your social security number unless it's absolutely necessary.
In addition, keep your social security card in a safe place instead of your wallet.
Next, keep your purse or wallet guarded when it's with you, and limit the amount of credit cards or debit cards that it contains to a reasonable amount.
Shred all documents containing important information instead of just discarding them.
Check your credit card and bank statements regularly for abnormalities. You should look for any purchases or withdrawals you did not make. Often these are small to test the account first.
Close credit card accounts if you don't use them regularly.
When giving out information, make sure it will not be shared with others.
Place passwords on your online accounts. The safest passwords are a combination of letters or numbers that a person could not easily guess.
So don't make it your pet's name or your birthday or anything that you probably could guess in one or two tries.
Try to ensure that no one can see you as you put in your ATM code. Those little roofs don't protect against people standing very close behind you.
Also, jiggle a slot before you put your card in. If it's loose, it may have been tampered with. Lastly, many security risks exist on the internet.
If a website or link doesn't look right, don't click it. Most places don't give things away, and there are never emails or risks to accounts you never created, so be conscious of what you click, and never give information unless you have been contacted by the company's official contact system or by a site administrator.
So those are some basic tips for helping you with personal finance and debt.
So be responsible, be safe, and
Good
luck.